Welcome again to another episode of Big Talk. Here with your boy, what? Why you laughing?
Don't know.
It's your boy Fred Biggie Smalls. It's your boy Fred Biggie Smalls.
It don't matter.
Look, man, I had this intro planned.
All right, look behind me then. All right, here, look here.
Fred Biggie Smalls.
All right, guys, welcome to another episode of Big Talk. Here where we tell you to believe in yourself, inspire others, and try and grow on a daily basis, both mentally and physically. So I got my panelists here and my co-host, Rashaad Evans.
Yep.
My bad, Rashaad Scott. I do it every time.
It's okay, man.
The man with the red shoes, no matter what colors he's wearing on his body.
Nope.
That's right. And then we got Tymiere Griffin, and what's your name? Sean? Adre Pierce. What is it?
My name is Adre
They
Pierce.
can't see you standing up.
My name is Adre Pierce. This is my uncle
Fred Biggie Smalls.
All right, so we're here today. We're going to discuss a couple topics, but just to get it started off, Tymiere, where are you from?
I'm from Delaware City, Delaware, born and raised.
But you live in the West Coast now, right?
Yes, sir. I moved to LA. I'm in Long Beach, California. Personal trainer at Metroflex Gym.
Okay.
So
All right, so is it as hardcore as they talk about it?
it's very hardcore, yeah.
Yeah?
And we actually just moved locations, so it's still in Long Beach, but I haven't been there yet.
Mm-hmm.
It's not open yet because Cali's a little behind with all the COVID stuff going on, but it's super hardcore.
Right, and how long?
Super hardcore.
You've been back here for how long?
3 months.
3 months.
And I fly back out on Monday.
Okay. All right, so Tymiere is also representing big sports athlete, and we're excited to have him. Does some dynamic stuff with his training. Great trainer on the West Coast, so we're grateful to have him on the team.
Appreciate you.
And then we got my man Adre Pierce over here.
Now he knows my name.
Yeah, man, up and coming, doing big things. You live in Delaware now, right?
Yes, I
But-
live in Delaware. I'm originally from San Bernardino County, California. It's
Is
about
it
45
California?
minutes east of LA.
Okay. All right. Does he need to be speaking in certain?
He just need to speak up.
Speak up. So
Speak up, I'm sorry.
You loud every other day.
Yeah.
Alpha.
What's going on?
loud. Now,
I'm trying to be composed like Free.
Like free.
So my man Adre, I seen him in the gym, and he's got amazing energy. The way he trains his clients, I like it. I like it a lot. He's always bringing just a whole lot of motivation to everybody, and we hoping that he's going to rock with Above and Beyond Physiques as well, which is my company. Rashaad's our top trainer and trainer of the year last year.
And this year.
And Adre says he's coming to fight for that crown.
I mean, that's nice.
What you saying is nice.
Yeah, I know.
That's cute and all. I mean, you stay over there with
I got
all
the
that.
plaque. I got the plaque, man. I got the plaque.
Now?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cute.
And this year.
I'm gonna holler at you 365 days.
All right. Bet. Look. I like it. I like it.
I don't. Because you got the plaque. So
All
I
right,
don't
man.
like
Fight for it, man.
Yeah, and don't forget Chris Pfeiffer in there too. You trying to come get it too, right?
I mean,
So-
he's saying some stuff
and
too.
the ladies, they trying to come for
Who?
it too. You always clowning, man. You always clowning.
Anyway,
Oh man, so what that we gotta touch on it. The whole George Floyd situation is creating a lot of. I mean, it's actually creating a lot of tension in the world, but it's even creating tension among friends. I mean, I know a young lady who got DM'd because she has a biracial child, and people are saying, why aren't you speaking out more? I'm getting messages sent to me saying, why am I not speaking out more? So, we got this platform, so we might as well use it. And when it comes to how I feel about it, it's very simple. It's disgusting. It's heartbreaking to see that. I always have to see something like a man who's not resisting, a man who didn't commit a violent crime. And that's key. He didn't commit a violent crime, even if he. And it's also questionable whether he committed a crime anyway, right? And and to be treated like that, and to be held down by 4 officers, obviously horrific that the guy's knee was on his neck. There are just no words that really can bring closure or any reason to that. It's just horrible. And for me, I always teach my sons, hey, and my daughter, because she's driving, and my son's about to drive. I always teach them. I say, if you have an issue with an officer, you have an issue with anybody in authority, don't try and fight it on your own. We'll fight it in court. So just be respectful, play the game, and show them that you're no threat. Keep your hands up, all that kind of stuff, and we'll fight it in court, because in court that's where we'll battle, right? And this guy wasn't resistant, and he still ended up like that. So now what do you tell your kids? And that's the scariest part for me, is like, I don't worry about me, I worry about them. And then like my wife, she's white, and she said, I can talk however I want to the cops without fear of my life. She's like, I can angrily reach into my glove box without fear for my life. I can walk in any neighborhood and not worry about somebody attacking me because of the color of my skin. All this kind of stuff, and it makes her very sad, because she's like, I've seen you stop by the cops and your hands are on the steering wheel, you're asking the cop, can I do everything, telling the cop everything you're gonna do before you do it. And she's like, I look at the cop and I go, what the hell you pull me over for? And I've been with some of my white friends. We're driving in a car that's $200-something thousand, 3 o'clock in the morning, coming over the bridge. The cop pulls them over. That's us. They taking us out the car. They checking the car. They pull him over. They're like this. He's like, "Are you fucking crazy? Why are you pulling me over? I gotta get home. I'm tired. I'm trying to, talking all types of trash to the cop." And they pull me over, and I'm just like, "Yes, sir. No, sir. I don't even want to take the chance, because it's not about being right in that moment. It's about living to the next day, being okay the next day. And if something is done wrong, I can fight it in court, like I said, So I just think it's such a double standard. And when it comes to the people in Minneapolis rioting, the only thing I would say about that is I can understand the frustration. But the bad part is the people that are looting are taken away from the people that are protesting peacefully, that they don't show. Because if you're smart and you look at the footage, it's on a loop.
Yeah.
You're playing the same stuff over and over again. And a lot of things are being damaged, but they're playing a lot of the negativity over and over. And they don't play any things that are positivity, where people are just holding hands and talking and chanting whatever they're chanting, but it's a peaceful protest. And that's why it's important that, these people that are out there looting and stuff stop, because you take away from the narrative. And if we're going to win this thing and get better, then we have to have white people that have a lot of empathy for what we're going through. And not one person who's a decent person saw that video and could say anything but other than that's horrible, that's disgusting.
100%.
But you take away from that narrative and you take away from that energy when they're looking at people, looking at us, because that's all they're showing. They're not showing the white people looting, and they are. Yeah. They're not showing all the Spanish people looting, and they are. They're showing black people looting, because that's what's going to be the theme, right? Yeah. And then the people, the same people that had all the empathy for George Floyd, go, yeah, man, look at those people doing that, and that's the wrong narrative. And we got to keep the narrative on what happened to him, because that's how the change is going to be made.
Yeah, and it's like I was telling you the other day, I see this every week. First it was George Floyd, and there was the kid that was walking down the street.
Ahmaud Marbury.
Yeah, Ahmaud walking around neighborhood, and not doing anything wrong, and it's just, this happens so much. It's just like, I can't even cry about it anymore. I can't even feel emotion about it, because just being a black man in America in general, it's just like, I see this every day. This is nothing new. It's just being videotaped more. I seen it in the inner city when I grew up in Philly. I seen it over here. Not necessarily, I don't know why, but I seen it work less in Delaware. But it's just, I see it so much, I'm just like, what can I even cry about anymore besides just stressing myself out? And I was talking to my mom last night, and because I'm doing my morning cardio outside of my neighborhood, I live in a nice neighborhood, and I'm just walking around the neighborhood, and she sees me when I post on Instagram. She just gets scared for me just to walk around my own neighborhood. And like, I should be scared as well, but at the same time, it's like, I just have to live my life, because I can't live in fear. Like, not that I should be reckless and do whatever, like you said, when you get pulled over, talk to the cop all crazy, because I'm gonna get shot regardless. But it's just like, I can't live in fear, but I can't also, but I'm what's the word? I recognize what's going on in the world. It's because I can't be naive and it's like, you know what, I'm not gonna live in fear, I'm just do what I want. But at the same time, I gotta go about my life. Like you said, when you get pulled over, my hands on the steering wheel, it's like, my hands are here, my license is in my glove box, my registration is in my glove box, my license over here, I'm going to grab for it, is that okay? And it's just like, I have to take all these extra steps just to stay safe, and even then, it might not be enough. It's just, and then the main thing that really bothers me the most is the cops. They got second degree murder. One got second degree, and I think another one got third degree with manslaughter. Now, a lot of people are like, oh, he should get first degree and this and that, third. And I got criminal justice in my background, so per the law, first degree doesn't count because he didn't premeditatedly kill him. Like, I'm going to kill you because X, Y, Z. You did this crime, so I'm going to kill you. He didn't make that known. So second degree, per on paper, makes sense. The main people are mad now is because if you have fairer skin, you're treated a certain type of way. Like the lady in Texas that shot the guy in his apartment. His own apartment. People aren't necessarily mad because I don't remember what she was sentenced to, but people aren't as mad as, oh, she should have got death, she should have got life, she should have got X, Y, Z. We're not mad at that. We're mad that fair-skinned people are treated like human beings, but then our skin, we're treated like animals. Because there's a picture going around of this dog having his knee on a dog's back, and the exact same thing as him having on this. And it's like, we're not treated like actual human beings. So it's just like, that's what we want. We don't want anything extra. We don't want to have white privilege. White privilege is a thing to an extent, but it's just like, we want to be treated equally just as much as anybody with fair skin. Like, I'm not saying, oh, we did 150,000 miles down the highway, just give me a warning. No, give me the same thing that you would give the fair-skinned person the same thing. That's all I want. I just want equality. Ain't ask for anything equal. That's the main thing.
But for them to get that, they have to see us as equal.
And they'll never will.
See us as less than, right? And that's, because I said the same thing. If that was happening to a dog, the world would be in uproar. I mean, animal lovers be coming out the woodwork. People were like, this is... And that man wouldn't even have made it back to the precinct, let alone got a couple days before he got arrested. Right. So it's about them seeing us as less than, and it's extremely unfortunate. But again, you got to keep the narrative where it is, and the reason why I keep saying that is because Kaepernick knelt down instead of sitting, off the advice from a military man who said kneeling is not disrespectful, and we just flipped that whole narrative on him to say it's about disrespecting America, disrespecting the flag, disrespecting cops. Like, no, we were doing it so things like this wouldn't happen. But the whole league, they threatened the owner's money. Donald Trump got up there, started talking about, not supporting these guys, and everything got shifted. And people forgot that it was about police brutality. And now we're back in the same situation. And that's why I keep saying, the empathy of powerful, whether you like it or not, powerful white people has to come into play here, because if they don't get on board, they're the majority. If they don't get on board, it doesn't go anywhere. Every civil rights movement took on its own life once powerful white people got involved and said, that's not right. And that's all I'm saying. In the same situation here is, you got to keep the narrative on the empathy that we feel for George Floyd.
And that's the messed up thing too, is like, say what you want about Trump in regards to however you feel about him, but the fact of the matter is, whatever your stance on him is, he is separating people in general by the words he was saying. Like, I don't care if you voted for Trump, I don't care if you didn't vote for Trump, I don't care if you think he's the worst person, best person, whatever. The fact of the matter is, by name calling people thugs, and I didn't see the whole tweet. My mom's telling me about it. I didn't get to see the whole thing. But the fact that you are separating people by your words. You're the most powerful man in America, and your words carry a lot of weight.
And he didn't even contact George Floyd's family until after Joe Biden did. So that's not sincere. That's just a political
not at all.
To try and,
all this is political, and he's just doing it to wherever he just. It's like you said the last podcast. He's like, oh, like with today, you're just like, oh, have a thought, let me put it out there. Oh, have a thought, put it out there, not thinking about it. And he's like, you know what, this sounds good, let me tweet this. And it's just like, you're just making the situation worse because you're separating people more and more.
Yeah. I see you over there shaking your head, Ty. What you got?
My mind's just spinning, you know what I mean? Because the day-to-day life is just, we get caught up in that. So like the last 3 days, this really was different for a lot of people, and it just makes me wonder, like, how long has this been going on without being documented? And it's so important that it was, because imagine if it wasn't. You know what I mean? And imagine if it happened today or yesterday and it just wasn't documented. You know what I mean? And this has been going on for so long. And I was in a unique situation where I played college football in West Virginia. So I've seen life from a whole different perspective. And I'm from Delaware. And if you've never been out of Delaware, it's just Delaware is very like how I'm biracial. You have biracial children. You know what I mean? It's very not even. It's still frowned upon in ways, but it's normalized here. You know what I mean? Where in West Virginia, I'll say straight up, that's not really the norm at all. And I was about an hour west of Morgantown. So I mean, like, I remember one time I was in Sheets. It's like they're wild out there, and then like a little girl looked at me, shriveled, and was like, "Mom, I never seen a black person before." And like it was only the football players and the basketball players from the school, and that's about it. They don't see black people, so they don't even know how to interact with black people. And I think that's the problem that the police face. Is like, I always see this meme. It's like, how do they expect black people to react, and they're not trained, but police officers. You know what I mean? That's a good point. So how do you expect white people to gauge a black person that they never even met one? You know what I mean? It's kind of a weird thing. But what I want to say is, I got pulled over about 3 times when I was in West Virginia. And all times, like you said earlier, I was poised, I was respectful, and it was good. I never even had to get out of my car. I was speeding. I was in the wrong every single time. And it played out well. You know what I mean? But being unfamiliar with a black person, somebody may have an attitude and they might get aggressive with a cop. You know what I mean? Verbally. But it should never, ever get to the point where the Floyd case got to at all. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I mean, like, for talking back, I gotta die. That's not.
It should never play out
that
way.
punishment does not fit.
And
that crime at all.
he's saying, I think he even said, like, he called like mom, anything, someone help. Yeah. He's like, people are just watching him with like a neck, a knee on my neck. You know what I mean? For 7 minutes.
Execution.
Yeah. So I'm just thinking, man, like, being biracial, understanding both sides so well, it just breaks my heart. It really does. And normally, we've been here so many times with just this police brutality and people just abusing the system. But this, for some reason, how it set different with me. Before this even blew up on Instagram, it said sensitive image. If you want to view it, hit OK and view it. I did it right away before I seen it blow up anywhere. Automatically shared it, sent it to my mom, whatever, because how it sat with me, not about how the world reacted to it. This was way more than I have ever seen. So I immediately did what I could. You know what I mean? I'm super nonverbal. I'm super non-political. But this, I've been posting nonstop. You know what I mean? Even doing this right here is super not me. But this is really ridiculous for another human being to be looked down upon. And that was a perfect point in what you just said about the dog. If that was a dog, he wouldn't have made it back to the office. Are you kidding me? The dog lovers in America? But a black man is 3/4 of a man, like they say. And this is 2020 and we're still living in it. You know what I mean? So it just man, it breaks my heart. It really does. Straight up.
What you got, Dre?
Aside from that, it's really heartbreaking as well to see the silence of others. On the Caucasian side of my family, I spoke to my grandmother about it, and she said, it's hard to watch, it's hard to see. I hate seeing it, but it breaks my heart that it's kind of poisoning your mind, and I would rather that you stop sharing these things with me. And I told her, I was like, ignoring the problem is not going to cause a solution. One, and then I told her too, I was like, with you ignoring what's going on and pretend like it's nothing and trying to just turn the other head, I would hate to see how you would react if that was me. Knowing that you know who I am, knowing that I would never disrespect anybody, I know how to conduct myself in front of authority. I know how to control myself in front of the police. I've been pulled over 100 times, but because of how I know how to be respectful, they would just let me go without even a warning or anything, just because how I know how to speak. And they just, to me, it's just not good humanity for you to be able to watch somebody, regardless of what color your skin you might be. It's just not good humanity to watch somebody be choked out for 8 minutes, and then to find a way to justify it, 2, to ignore it, and then 3, to just act like it's not a thing to you. Right. Because at the end of the day, that's somebody's father, that's somebody's son, that's somebody's family member, that's somebody's loved one. He may have been providing for a lot of people. Regardless, as a human being. So, I
Really
actually
quick,
just
really
posted-
quick. I want to throw something out here really quick. How could you justify it?
Exactly.
I was trying to. I was really honestly trying to. Maybe like he was resisting like a lot. You know what I mean? But how could it? How could you? I really sat because I try to always look at it from both sides. How could you justify it?
He's looking dead in the camera, heartless. The guy, he got somebody under your knee. And he's looking at the camera like this, heartless. with a
Can't
small
breathe.
smirk.
Nose is bleeding.
Excuse me, sir, I can't breathe. He peels off my neck for 8 minutes, just looking at the camera, heartless.
I think the worst part is he had 4 other cops with him.
Yeah, it's like
So
there's
it
so
wasn't
much
it-
more.
So you look at the angle from across the street, you got 3 cops on his body and the guy on his neck.
And then other cops standing in front to protect him if
That's
anybody was to
horrible.
go on.
So
It's hard.
there was no threat.
There was so much more you can do. I'm like, and I'm not saying that this would have been any better, like on humanity's side, but you could have handcuffed his legs if you really think he was that much of a threat. There's tased
Yeah,
him.
I mean, he was a
with-
big guy, right? Because
At least
He
let
wasn't
up.
even
At least let up
Right.
and see how he responds. Like
like anything.
I mean, there's no justification. For
There's-
it.
no, I'm just
There's
saying,
none.
but the fact that all 4 of us who are not the members of law enforcement could have thought of more humane ways to contain this man.
We're not trained for in this,
That is
right?
that's 100%
And if
correct.
we did that to anybody in the club, we'd be in jail.
Exactly.
Without even question.
That's
I'll
the
say
point.
that straight up.
So, you know, and he's trained. The officer is trained.
Exactly.
They've been through these tactics. You know, and apparently that's a jujitsu move that they say
It's
can
pain.
kill you.
In his vein.
Right. Exactly.
At the
So-
same time, they reported that he had like 16, 17, 18 reports against him. Like people were calling in, making complaints, saying this guy's not doing anything a part of his job. And
Right.
that, of course,
Yeah, the
that
track
goes
record.
ignored.
Right. Could you imagine if 18 clients went to the gym you're in and complained about you? You
This
still
guy's
haven't
not a
got it?
good
Well,
trainer.
maybe on the 19th try. I guess.
I get it.
You know, come on, man. Like we're in the business of people.
Yeah.
We're
So I always, because once again, like this is all new to me, like just taking a stance, even because enough is enough, honestly, at this point. And I'm glad the world is super woke to this situation. The Ahmaud Arbery case, though, I will say I jumped the gun on that a little bit. 100% unjustifiable again. But if you dive into it, he was in a house. He walked in. The neighbor screamed at him, and he ran out of the house.
See, the problem with that is there's nothing wrong with that at all.
100% no. It should have never got. All I'm trying to say is, it should have never got to the point where a shotgun is pulled out. Why are why are you hunting him?
So, and the thing with that is like first of all, a citizen's arrest. That was their justification. It's like, first of all, what did he do to warrant a citizen's arrest? Then somebody said, oh, well, there's been a report of home robberies, da-da-da. Okay, even if you use that defense, based off everything that's happened, he went into a house that was being under construction, built for somebody else. And if he wanted to see what the house was like, because he was in the market to see what house in the area to do that, he's perfectly fine doing
Absolutely.
that. Because I've done it multiple times with my grandmother growing up. And on top of that, I think somebody recently shared another video of a white family. She and her husband went into the house. And then, mind you, this house wasn't even close to the condition of the house that Ahmaud was walking in. This house was almost finished, had granite countertops. She's walking in, looking at the house, saying, oh, I don't like this, that's cool, da-da-da-da. I don't remember how old the video was, but somebody posted it again recently, saying, anybody could walk into a house that's under construction to see how it's looked because it's considered a open house. Granted, there might be different state laws per that, but 90% of the time you can do that.
Right. But in the Ahmaud Arbery situation, at least you can kind of reason and say, okay, well, that's just a person in life who's an asshole.
Yeah.
That's just a racist bastard in the South, which doesn't surprise you.
Yeah.
100%.
Right? And he was just in the wrong place, wrong time, and these assholes had that out for him anyway.
Yeah.
The police are somebody we're supposed to revere. We're supposed to be
You are
looking to
trained.
protect us.
Exactly.
Right? And we shouldn't have to see them choosing how they treat a certain ethnicity versus another.
That's true.
Right? And that's what's going on here. That's why there's such an uproar about this. I mean, both are fucked up. But at least the one is just 2 assholes and there's assholes in every community, black, white, whatever. That's no different than 2 black guys seeing someone who they don't like in the wrong color. Boom, I'm gonna take them.
Yeah.
You know, that happens all the time.
Sure.
This is something where we go, you know, we teach our kids respect authority. You always learn the cops are on your side, they're your friend, and they're here for you, and then they're killing you. That's what's so fucked up about this situation. you know. And for me, it's just another thing why, you know, like this is just the world's a little fucked up right now. It's just a little crazy right now. But I don't notice any worse. Like you mentioned it earlier, like Will Smith had the thing where he said racism's not any different. It's just video now. And that's so true because as a kid, you know, I mean, I remember I'm 11, 10 years old on a Boy Scout troop. With my Boy Scout troop. My dad this time didn't go with me. We were riding bikes from all the way from Delaware all the way down to Virginia, right? And we're doing trails and all this other stuff, right? It was like a week trip. And I get caught up, get separated from the group. Past these white kids, and they were older, and they're throwing rocks at me. Nigger this, nigger that, all this kind of stuff, right? And at the time, I'm like, you know, because you're young. I never heard that, never experienced that.
Yeah.
So of course I'm scared. I catch up my troop leader, and he kind of, you know, bullshit consolement. But those are things that can create sour taste in your mouth about people. And even with that, I'm fully aware that there are a lot of wonderful white people out there. A lot of wonderful white people, right? And a lot of good people on all sides. And that's where I don't want the narrative to go because I'm getting some militant activity going on right now from people I know, and they're like, you know, you're not woke, you're talking about white people. Like, look, white people aren't the enemy. That guy's a jerk, an asshole, and the people that were allowing him to push through, get complaint after complaint after complaint after complaint, they're at fault just as much as he is.
I can say from who I follow, and I even spoke to one of my boys about this other day, from the white people I follow, they've been great from a social media standpoint. Speaking up. You know what I mean? And one of my very successful friends said straight up, I lost a lot of followers on Instagram, and if this doesn't sit well with you, then I don't even want you to be a supporter of me anyway.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I appreciate that. You know what I mean? I really do appreciate who I have been seeing speak up on this and just bringing attention to it, because attention nowadays is how you win. You know what I mean? From what this happened, everybody in America should know about George Floyd. Say his name. Is what's under it now. Say his name. Yep. Everyone knows his name. You know what I mean? For a reason. But now, like you said, the narrative is so important. Now it's being skewed a little bit. Now all you hear is not marching. Now it's looting. You know what I mean? Right. So that's super important, and that's where we got to be careful. And that's where just taking that step, like, hey, right now, us four, let's invite everybody in Wilmington and let's have a march. Right. It takes balls. You know what I mean? It really does. And then, like, you can see how we'll get out of control.
Right.
So it's just, I don't know. It's a very vital time right now, and it's very delicate. We're coming out of a pandemic. I've never been alive for anything like this. We're still supposed to be wearing masks. In the middle of that, everyone's marching.
Yeah.
Black lives are still being lost due to police violence. You know what I mean? It's just a very, very fragile time for America.
And the part that gets me is, and not to be on a negative note, but when the guy in New York, what's his name, the cigarettes.
Cigarettes. What happened?
The guy who got choked out of New York.
Oh, yeah. I can't breathe yet.
Yeah, I can't remember his name. But that happened with Eric Garner. Thank you, no name face. It's Raheem Davis, guys. But Eric Garner, when he got choked out, it's kind of pretty much the same, more or less the same situation here. Now, he was a much bigger dude in this situation, more or less, but he got choked out, which is not something the police officer is supposed to do. He said, I can't breathe. Now, granted, he was like 6'5", like 300 pounds. It's a big dude. I understand. But at the same time, you did not do your job as an officer, and you could have detained him in different manners. But with that said, that happened, I think, 2016, 17 or something like that. And the world was in an uproar, and then multiple black deaths also happened that year. And that's what I'm worried about, just like every time stuff like this happens. It gets publicized, we have some type of revolt against it, and then it dies down. And it's the same cycle, because I also saw a picture yesterday where it was the picture of Minneapolis on fire, and they said, why can't you just protest peacefully? And then it shows at least 8 different other ways we protested peacefully, and it's saying, so, and then each one says, no, not that way, no, not that way.
It just doesn't work.
And like, so us protesting peacefully isn't working. I'm not saying rioting isn't either. It's just like in the 50s with.
Well, I think I wouldn't say protesting peacefully doesn't work. I think the media doesn't hear about that.
Well, that's what I mean.
You know, so what ends up happening is like there's always strength in numbers. So if you got a large group of people protesting peacefully, and that's the way you're stopping businesses from doing things.
But
right?
look at the NFL with Kaepernick. So he may not be a lot of people, but he holds a lot of power.
And he held too much power without having the right people supporting him, because him doing that did drop ratings for NFL. It did stop the owners from making the money they were going to make, and that's why all that stuff changed. It wasn't because of disrespecting the flag. The owners like, shit, we're losing money, and we're not getting the public opinion to, the public is not siding with this. Because if ratings went up, the owners wouldn't have cared.
Yeah, they would have kept
And it's sad because of why. And I wish we could be at a state where we're at now, and then Colin Kaepernick would take a knee. You know what I mean? Because now I'm like, okay, I get it now. You know what I mean? But he was trying to tell us then. Because it was still going on.
But why wasn't anyone else supporting him? And
They tried.
Not
Other
the
team
right
captains were stepping up. You know what I mean? They were stepping up. It's just, what else you going to do? You
But
know
let's
what I mean?
think about, like, I'm not saying that they didn't step up.
What other marquee players?
That's what I was
did they
about to
step
say.
up?
What notable player also stepped up during that time? Because right now, off the top of my head, only 2 people in sports,
Malcolm Jenkins for the Eagles.
Yeah,
Safety, he stepped up.
Yeah, I mean, he ain't selling nothing.
Yeah. Who's the other
Jarvis
safety?
Landry.
Jarvis Landry stepped up. Who
He
else?
had the Browns, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the
He ain't
Browns
selling
now.
nothing.
He was with the Dolphins.
I'll say this. The point I'm making is with that is, if you ask me who Kaepernick is today, I don't watch sports. Like, I haven't watched sports since 2012. But if you ask me today who's Colin Kaepernick, I can tell you. If you ask me LeBron James, I can tell you. Michael Jordan, Kobe, all of them, I can tell you.
And if I tell you Tom Brady, can you tell me?
I can tell you. I know who that is.
And imagine if Tom Brady knelt down.
So that's the point. The point he's making is
Everybody would listen.
It's like he didn't have
That's my point.
He didn't have the support that of a high echelon person to help put that out there. I can tell you during that season in the NFL, I've seen other players do it. I can tell
That's
you
like LeBron wearing the I Can't Breathe shirt, though.
But that's why LeBron, Carmelo Anthony, and Chris Paul made a difference over there, because they're the most influential people.
And I
in
know
the
all
sport.
those names. Like, it's just all about notoriety. I'm not saying those people didn't do the right thing. They still did what they thought was right, which I still commend them for. But on the level of getting it out to the media, there wasn't enough. Like you said, Tom Brady did that.
Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees,
Any of them.
even Russell Wilson.
So at the end of all this, what is some positives? Like, so we do everything right, okay? Say from today on, no more looting, whatever. Everything's peaceful. We have strength in numbers. What comes out of it?
Nothing.
What changes? Okay, but don't say nothing though. Think about something positive that could come out of this. What comes to my mind is our police academy right away. Train them properly. Whatever is going on now, it's still not a right mentality. In the time of action, I understand they pass training, everything. Make it a monthly thing to touch on how to arrest people properly. You know what I mean? It should never get out of hand. Right now, it's protocol. I think if you get pulled over, another cop car is pulling up right away.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So that should never even get there. If you don't feel comfortable, call back up before you even step there. I know you're a first responder. Much respect. You know what I mean? I always respect police officers, even if I get pulled over, white, black, brown, whatever. What do you need, sir? I'm sorry if I was speeding. Here's my license registration, just like this. All right. Nowadays, I'm right here with it. All right. I'm not playing no games. I'm right here on the steering wheel. You know what I mean? Where before I might be like this. You know what I mean? Now you're inconvenient to my day. Now I'm right here.
That's funny.
It's not worth it.
It's not. I'm not
It's
laughing.
not worth it.
I'm not laughing at it.
Straight
It's funny because I've never had that mindset as soon as I started driving. Like I've never had.
Yo, straight up.
I haven't had a bad experience with cops, but in my mind, it's like every time I get pulled over, it's the game of my life. But ever since I started driving, it's like, I'm about to get pulled over. My license here, my registration here, it's here. But I'll try to do it before they get out the car.
Yeah.
Because they see me moving too much, I'm like,
I think another
Before you even
important.
step up, I got all my stuff right here in the
Yep.
window.
it's on the roof. It's on the roof.
That's why.
But that's the thing, though. That's when it goes back to you don't want to make them uncomfortable.
Windows is down. My right hand is out. My left hand has my stuff in. I'm sitting just like this, and they always like, so you can put your hands down.
I was like, nope.
I don't want to make you uncomfortable. I'm gonna just go ahead and.
Okay, but imagine that though. So it goes back so deep. So imagine how that cop was raised up. You know what I mean? Like, think deeper than now he's a police officer. Before he was a police officer, did he have black teammates? Like, how familiar is he with? All right, take race out of it. If you come up to my window and I'm being almost like stupid. Like, it's sad that you got to be like this, sir. Just so you know, right now I'm on a reach for this, because there's been times where black people are right here, reach and they're shot and they're killed. You know what I mean? So now another cop might have a completely different mindset, and now you're here, hey sir, can I do this? And now he feels disrespected. Now he's in a bad mood because you just never know how to approach him.
But we're
So
wrong
based off
either
who
way.
they are as a person.
So watch this. You gotta take that same exact thinking and think of who is that police officer as a person.
Yeah, but you don't know.
I know what I'm saying, but that alone plays a lot into the role of how things turn out. So just like you said, there's other things that can happen. You can be trained up differently. If I'm raised a certain way, if I see things a certain way, if I act throughout racism, regardless of what you train me to do, black is black, it's not right to me, I feel threatened, I pulled out my gun, he's over with. You can train me as much as you want to, but you cannot change the way I see things. Because by the time you're getting trained to be a police officer, you're walking in what your belief system is. You're walking in what
and
your
you got to think
value
about it
system
though. There's no fear like with it. Like, it's time and time again, whatever the case may be. 9 times out of 10, the cops get let go and then they're picked right back up, or they are laid off for a little bit and they got their job back. There's no fear. The police unions are so strong that they're in good hands regardless. You know what I mean? So imagine that. Imagine like you're a little kid and you get grounded, but it's only for 2 days and then everything goes back. That it's like a slap on the wrist. You're good. So now you're playing with lives. You know what I mean? It's just a slap on the wrist. You shouldn't have did that. Don't do it again. And you're good. Here's your job back. You know what I mean?
Now,
I
here's
think
your
one of the
question.
problems you got though is, real quick, now that this situation has happened, every cop is already
On Hyler.
on like ready.
Yeah.
Because they anticipate the resistance the minute they pull anybody of color over. And so now you got to educate our young people and our people, hey, now's the time to be even more respectful.
100%.
Because it's about protecting you in that situation. You know, there ain't nobody else to help you if you got 4 cops around. You got to protect yourself in that situation. Where you protect yourself is you be respectful, you do the right thing, and 9 times out of 10 you should come out okay.
100%.
Yeah, like you said, what if the cop feels disrespect because I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that? Okay, at the end of the day, let's say I get a cop pulled over, my hand's on the steering wheel, and I didn't have enough time to get my registration out of my glove box. And I tell him my registration's in my glove box, I'm going to reach for it. And let's say he's a actually good cop, but he feels disrespected because I'm telling him every step I'm going to do. I haven't ran into that situation yet, but let's say I did. I'd rather for him to feel disrespected as opposed to
You moving too fast.
be moving too fast, because
Facts.
if he gives me an overpriced ticket because I was in his eyes an asshole by how I'm acting, whatever, I'll fight that in court like he says. I'll take that
Great
there.
point.
But
Great point.
at the same time, I'd rather get a $1,000 ticket as opposed to lose my life.
Right.
So
You're 100% right.
So that's the only reason why I look at it that way.
Now, here's the question though. So when you spoke about, when they do things, it's just a slap on the wrist. It kind of gets forgotten about, and you continue on about your life, right? Now, you got to think about the perception of when you protest, the way you protest. How does it hit people? I feel like the reason why rioting and all that other type of stuff is going on right now is because as
had
a
enough.
people, as a whole, we say we did the peaceful thing, and y'all see that as a slap of the wrist. So we need to get y'all attention, and we about to get y'all attention.
Right, but you shouldn't do it in your own community though.
You shouldn't,
Definitely
and
shouldn't
I
do
agree
that.
with that. I agree with that, but
In the black-owned stores. Like, I woke up today in Atlanta, the 2 sisters had like a very successful like clothing line. They took everything. You know what I mean? Now you're hurting black community as well. You know what I mean?
Or what about the black guy who's the manager at one of them stores that got destroyed? Now all of a sudden
Probably might not have a job.
he don't got no job.
He said, "Yeah, this
Lack of education.
Hey, this is before
You know what I mean?
before my time, but in the 50s and 60s with Martin Luther King and Malcolm X, it's pretty much what it is today. We try the Martin Luther King approach, being peaceful, kneeling, X, Y, and Z, and then now Malcolm X approach, where it's like, yo, we're gonna do what we want. And it's kind of, this is where we at.
well, you got to think. You gotta watch the narrative you put on the Malcolm X approach. The
Well, I'm
Malcolm
just
X
being
approach,
very general. Very general.
because the Malcolm X approach, the reason why his stood so solid is because it was organized leadership. He had a group of people, like somewhat of an army of people that backed him up wherever he went. They said, "We're not standing for this. This is going to be the
Right, but
repercussions."
even that wasn't doing anything reckless.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like they weren't doing anything to harm their own communities. It was about protection.
If you look back at the pictures and stuff, there were fires. It was bad. People were getting. Do you see what is going on right now? This is like, if you just make the pictures white and black, people are setting off fireworks, burning down banks. taking ATMs out, breaking them open. Like, this is really crazy. Running through whole Targets, taking everything.
I mean, like Rodney King, I was there in college when Rodney King
multiple
video
cities,
came out.
multiple cities all at once. Is this worse? Is it
Yeah, I
worse?
mean,
I don't think it's
I
any
don't think
worse.
it's worse. I just think that, but the bad part about it is, where in life do we say, okay, it's the same and that's okay? There's no progress.
Yeah.
And
That's the problem. There's no progress. But real
Exactly.
quick on this thing, like the other part about it is, you want to make a difference, then you get a community of black people and cops together, and you have a meeting, you have a talk, because at the end of the day, racism a lot of times is just ignorance. Because I can't tell you how many times I get, white clients that don't really deal with a whole lot of black people,
But
and
they love you.
and they love me, and they're like this. Yeah, but you're different.
Yeah,
All
that-
per
that-
our
No, not really.
No,
Not
per our
really.
conversation that we had in one
No, I
podcast,
know.
yeah.
I'm saying, like,
Yeah.
I'm not
But
different.
you're different.
I'm not different.
I'm just
It's
like
just
you.
that you are only seeing a stereotypical black man
on TV.
on TV, or you see what they want you to see in the media, which is people that are less educated, and you get the guy that they're covering a murder or covering a robbery in the city, and you get the most uneducated guy in the city on the block to come and talk on TV, and he sounds like a fool.
Amen.
And then you
Make him
got,
look like a fool.
and this is why, like my daughter's like, Dad, you see that movie Soul Plane? I don't like movies like that.
Nah.
because they're funny, they're
But they
good,
make you
It
portray
gives us
black
an image.
people.
but it gives
gives
us
you
an
a
image
straight
that's
image.
not real.
Right.
Because all of a sudden,
Look at us.
all of us,
Everybody's
all of
right
us, or people would say to us, all of us, man, you talk like a white dude.
Exactly.
I was just about to say.
And why? Because I'm educated, because I'm not using a
well-spoken.
ton of slang, because, it's just a matter of, you can't judge my blackness by how I talk, how I walk. I'm black because that's the color of my skin.
You know what makes that worse? In the black community, we get shit for it too.
Oh, definitely.
Because I don't know if I said this to you before, but this is like my junior, sophomore year in college or something. And I was talking to this girl. It was like a group of people, and I was talking to her, and I brought up that I was in college talking about class or whatever. I don't remember like how we got on the subject, but it's like, "Ill, you in college? You corny?" I was like,
The first
"What?"
The first real, I never even shared this. The first real slap in the face I got was, I was probably like 12 or 13, and some girl who I was super close with, Dad told her straight up, leave him alone. I feel like you guys are getting way too close. He's black, dead it, straight up, just like that.
Mm-hmm.
And when I tell you I was crushing, I was young, and that's the first time I ever really felt racism. Because it was always love. It was always, that's Ty. He's a nice kid. I know his family. But then, like, they seen kind of like us slowly starting to like cross that line a little bit. Stop it right there. And I was just like, damn, like, you know what I mean? I probably could treat her better than any white dude could.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
no
If it
doubt,
was
man.
to ever get there, but it never even got there.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it was just so crazy to me, and I never even speak on it because I don't even like to bring light to racism. But times like this, you might have to.
Well, shit, man. I've been married to two white women. My first wife was white. My next wife, my wife now is white. I have shut up. Like I said,
Go ahead.
Their parents have never been to her wedding.
Wow.
Never.
Wow.
Both wives had to walk down the aisle with one of my friends or one of my family members. Right. So that's crazy.
Speaks to it.
Right. Now, my first wife, her parents wouldn't even touch my daughter when she was first born. So, so they had a hard time getting over it, right? Because I'm sitting at the table with them at Thanksgiving after my daughter was born, and her sister's joking, remember when Granddad used to teach us how to tie nooses? And I'm like, what? And then everybody shut up, and I'm like, oh, that's candid. That's real right there. But that we had gotten so comfortable, they were just talking,
Yeah.
like, because her sister was cool with me, she was cool with me, and we was all, but that's just what they were taught as kids. And now, my ex-wife even says, it's sad, because she's like, I listen to my dad, and it just makes me so angry. But by the time I left that relationship, her mom, who literally looked at me the first time I went in her house and told her that because we got married in Vegas, but we did a reaffirmation here, and they wouldn't come to that either, told me, oh, you'll never sit at my dinner table and eat. By the time I left the relationship, she was going to 2 different states to buy me the Christmas present she knew I wanted. So a lot of it is no interaction, ignorance, all that stuff. And my wife now, her dad looked at me and said, I can't be up. I'm trying to find something wrong with it, but there's nothing in the Bible that says interracial relationships are wrong. So I guess I have to accept it, but I don't like it.
Which that right there shows you that racism is something that's taught
Yeah.
from a young age. Can't be. That's the main reason why it's still alive, because it's still being taught and practiced.
Because when I was in Florida, when I was 99, so I was 7, I was in a kiddie pool with this kid. We were playing in like the little mushroom waterfall there. We just playing, some white kid. I'm having a good time. It's like, yeah, playing around. And his dad like comes out of nowhere, picks us up. I said, we don't play with them, and walked off. And I'm like, what? Like, and mind you, this is like the first time I'm out of Philly and everything. And I'm like,
God.
we don't play with them. Who's them? Like just all the little kids, just me. And then my stepdad was about to beat that dude's ass. But like, if that kid had never like had, I don't know. Obviously I've never seen that kid ever again because it was the one time thing. But who knows how that kid turned out today because his dad was like that.
Corrupted him.
Exactly. So it's just like you can't. It's nothing is learned. Like hatred on the basis is you can't just automatically hate somebody for no reason.
Right.
If somebody has done you wrong, whatever, I'm not saying you should still hate them, but that's a reason that you develop that, as opposed to learning to not like a person because color of their skin, their culture, or whatever it may be. That is learned.
Right. Well, I think like for me, and the way I instill in my kids is, and I really truly believe this, it's not your business to know what someone else's opinion of you is. Doesn't matter. No one's opinion of you matters. And not just from a business standpoint, because if you got something you believe in, you go after it regardless of who's telling you you can't. Athletically, you feel like you can do something, you go after it no matter how many coaches tell you you're not going to get there. You keep going. As far as how you conduct yourself on a daily basis, as long as you can look in the mirror and feel good about who you are, it doesn't matter what anyone else says. And if you have that mentality, then little things like that don't even faze you.
Yeah.
Right? Who cares what this person thinks? And for me, my parents built me up so high when I was younger. I know it works. They built me up. I was a fat kid, right? 5'1", 190 pounds, right? And in high school, talking about I'm an overweight lover. Because my parents built me up so strong, self-confidence wise, to tell me how great I was. And I've been telling my daughter Monica, and Monica could have 3 friends and she could have 20. It does not matter to her. I've been telling her since she was a baby, you're the best, you're the best, you're the best. I tell my son he's the greatest. I tell my other son he's awesome. I tell my daughter she's my angel. That's how I instill. I'm telling them all the time, everything you do is amazing. Only thing you got to do in life is respect people, be educated. Those are the 2 things you got to worry about. And if you do those 2 things, everything else will work itself out. Because, in life, you're going to have so many people against you. So if you're worried about what other people think, you've already failed from day one. Because you cannot worry about what other people think. You have to believe in yourself, believe in what you're going after, and that's how you continue to be successful. And that's so all the stuff for people, like, there's going to be racism. And I said this the other day, we know the field. We know that if this white guy has to see 10 to get 5, I got to see 20 to get 5.
Yep.
That's okay. Just be willing to work harder. The same thing, the prosperity is an abundance out here. We can get everything we want as long as we're willing to work hard enough for it.
Yep.
Right? And surround yourself with the right people. You know how you make changes? By this white person, that white person, this white person going, you know what, that guy is all right. Maybe I had it all wrong. That's how it's going to change.
That's how you unlearn behavior.
To be honest, for the most part, what I've seen with my own eyes, and like just to switch the whole swinging thing, I met outstanding white people. I met outstanding Asian people. I've met outstanding human beings throughout my life. You know what I mean? So overall, I understand that racism is real, and people don't have the mentality that I have. One, being a biracial person and understanding, getting to grow up with both and feeling love from both. You know what I mean? Not everybody has that, so I don't expect everybody to look at it how I look at it. But I can say overall, as a whole, it's been good, and I've met great people of all races.
Right.
I'll say that straight up.
Yeah, I mean, good. You gonna say something?
No, I was just agreeing with him. It's good to
No,
agree.
I think it's funny because
I'll say this really quick, because this was what I was
it's my
talking to
show.
my mom about.
My
My bad.
No, go
Yo, I was
ahead.
talking to my mom about this last night, and I just want to say this, and this is really important for anybody listening. Don't let one bad apple ruin a bunch.
Right.
Straight up.
Absolutely.
Cops overall are probably great. The bad ones ruin it for the rest of them.
Yeah.
Black people overall are great. Love black people.
Right.
But the thugs and the people that probably were wrong at the time, probably bad human beings, probably mess it up for white people. Probably one time. One white woman experienced a bad black guy, it's a wrap. You know what I mean? Now black guys are the problem. They're cancerous in a relationship, whatever. Or vice versa. You know what I mean? Yeah. Don't let one bad... Yeah.
Who be fucked up? Not I, sir.
Straight up. Don't let one bad apple ruin a bunch. Straight up. For anything. This cop that did this, don't let him ruin it for the rest of the cops. Where if I see a cop today, if I walked out of here and there's a cop walking by, I appreciate your service. Straight up.
I say it all the time, man. I say thank you for your service all the time.
Straight up.
Military, cops, first responders, all that stuff. Because, at the end of the day, we get somebody breaking your house, who you calling? You calling a cop, So you got to respect what they're doing. Yeah. And, I train a few cops, and we have this dialogue. We have conversations and stuff, man. And they're cool ass people, So it's just like, but I'm going to tell you this. I talk to black cops all the time, and I'll be like, yo, is it really like we be the worst ones? And they're like, unfortunately, yeah. Like, a lot of times, if I go out to 10 calls, 8 of them be minority.
Yeah.
And that again,
but why?
I think it's a bad cycle, man, because I think
400 years ago.
Well, but I think okay, let's flip it to nutrition for a second, right? How did we learn to eat? We learned
by
people
surviving.
Well, we learned to eat by survival. We were getting the scraps, right?
Surviving.
Right. So now you learn how to make all these great dishes with basically trash food, and this generation teaches this generation, this generation, and all of a sudden you had all these bad eating habits, but we're not working the same level we were working then.
Eating habits,
but
economic standpoint.
But that's important, like from the aspect of why it's affecting our health. You see it with the COVID, like we're dying at an alarming rate from it because we have underlying health problems, right? But in the dietary habits, we're not working the way we used to work. Like, you needed that kind of food because that's the only way you could get through the day, right? You needed food that was heavy, nutrient-dense food that it took your body a long time to process because that's what allowed you to work 12, 15 hours in the heat in the South. Now, you take the same eating habits. Oh, man, I can't wait to eat my fried chicken. I can't wait to eat my chitlins. I can't wait to eat this. But you're working at a computer all day.
Yeah.
And
great point.
If it goes to the my fault, go ahead.
No, go ahead, because I got something. I was going to switch to you.
And it goes to the economic standpoint too, saying why are 8 of the 10 calls black? I say, well, let's use Dollar for example. In Wilmington, what is it primarily? Let's be real, it's black people.
It's
Black or minorities. We'll just go minorities, right? And why is that? It's because 400 years ago, what wealth did we have? And I'm not saying that's the reason why we should stay in there, because obviously we're making strides to get out of there. But 400 years ago, and then we got let loose from slavery. What do we have? Not a damn thing, because we were brought to America with nothing, and then they left us saying, "Oh well, we worked you. Now go be free and figure out life." All right, well, some of us figured it out. We finally got some land and whatnot. Let me finish. I know where you're going with this. I'm not saying this is right, but on a grander scale of minorities, we had nothing, and we didn't have generational wealth. And obviously, we're making strides into that and moving forward. Like I said, we got to talk to 10 people as opposed to talking to the one person per ourselves. So it's all our work ethic. But in the community, it's because we're minorities because of what we don't have. So that's why it's not a race thing. It's a cultural thing because minorities didn't have anything. And even if you go to the poorest part of the whitest state, bet you 8 of those 10 calls are going to be white. It's because it's about poverty, not about race. And that's the only reason I'm going on that is because it's a poverty thing, not a race thing.
That's great.
Now, I gotta play devil's advocate.
He was next.
I gotta play devil's advocate.
Just keep your thought.
You got your thought, brother.
No, keep your thought.
I got a younger mind. I can hold on to it. Okay. So I gotta play devil's advocate, right? Because a lot of people say, that as you guys just said, don't let one bad apple ruin the bunch. Not all black people are bad. Not all cops are bad. Some people will say yes, all cops are bad. Why? Because watch this. Let's say if I was down and out or whatever, and I went and I got locked up for like trying to steal food or what have you, except to feed myself. If I call him and tell him about it, he's gonna be like, dude, what are you doing? Like, it's 1,000 things you could have did. He's gonna give me accountability, let me know I messed up. Where's the accountability that comes from officer to officer? As you stand by and just let things happen. How many times do officers stand up and speak about, hey, you know what we doing is wrong, we need to change. We need to change. So when
How do you know
the
that
message
don't
goes-
happen though?
I'm not saying it doesn't happen,
Well, it's not
but
both
it's
sides.
not common.
We don't see it.
We never see that.
I've seen
I've
it probably
seen one.
once or twice.
I've seen one.
Yeah.
Okay, once or twice, but how many
I
cases
met
do
a
we
cop
have?
over the last summer. Came in straight up. I know from an inner city kid in Wilmington. He told me from his perspective, yo, he changed my whole block on Wilmington. He built a park for us. He's out here interacting with the kids by himself.
Right.
He's out here by himself, white man, out here doing this for us.
Well, we're not saying that. I think what he's saying is, where's the accountability to
From
call your
officer to
fellow
officer.
cop out to say, hey,
Because look at those 5
From people in his
That's not-
precinct, yo, what you doing? You wrong.
Because look at
Like
those 5 people that
as,
watched
as a precinct, you
One of
shouldn't
them
even
was
say.
black.
Like,
you think,
yo,
you think with the case you've been discussing all day, the Floyd case, you think maybe he felt like the dude with the knee on his neck he was older than him, obviously he wasn't in the right position to say, hey, don't do that.
watch, no, I'm saying, now watch this.
I mean,
I'm saying
that-
that
that's just
accountability,
lack of
accountability
dignity.
is
That's
not there.
coward.
Yeah, that's all that is.
So when you have
Coward.
another minority sitting
right.
there protecting,
You're right.
standing on the front line, yo, don't go back there, don't get involved as a minority. You're just because you got that badge on, your loyalty is to the officer, regardless if he's doing right or wrong.
I mean, I
There's no
promise
if I'm an officer, let's say if me and him are officers or whoever's an officer, and I see you doing bad, as a man, I'm gonna tell you, you fucking up right now. You shouldn't be doing that. You in the wrong. Stop it.
Yep.
It's good humanity for other people that's watching to say, yo, what are y'all doing? Stop it. That's good humanity.
Yeah.
Officers are saying, calm down, don't get involved, back up. As we watch my man, because of this badge, he's my man now, kill this man.
Yep.
And I'm a minority. So now the fact I'm a minority goes out the window because I got a badge.
And
There's
that's
accountability.
real across law enforcement, military, wherever you may go in regards to your brotherhood of who you was with. I think they go through like 27 weeks of training as police officers. And I'm not saying that makes anything right, but that's your brotherhood now, and that's who you, regardless of race or whatever. So I'm not saying that's right, but I understand.
Yeah, you're going to stick together, right? So,
Yeah.
So why we can't stick together? Why can't they stick together for the right?
everybody, so who knows what they're saying behind closed doors? But the problem is we don't see it. And because we don't see it, the community can't identify and feel like they're on our side at all, right? So, but to back to your point, my problem with the scenario that it comes from 400 years ago is, again, my father's family is from the South, okay? And they had a piece of land, they used to hunt, do all this stuff, their dad was there, and their father left them at 8 years old. My dad was 8 years old. There's 9 of them, okay? Everyone would say those are some serious odds to overcome because they walked in 3 to 5 miles to school,
Yep.
no car, mom no income at the time, right? Then she starts cleaning. They get split up, right? Going to this family, that family, because mom couldn't afford to take care of them all together. All of them, minus one, extremely successful.
Okay.
Because
I'm listening.
that work ethic they learn on those farms and how to survive. What is it? How hard is it to sell $1 million worth of insurance if you had to fight for your life as a kid? It's not.
It's not, and I 100% agree with you. But I also want to ask you this. Okay, you said he was one of 9 in an environment down south where he had to work, right? Down south. Now, think about the city.
That's where my mind went to right
I
away.
say, because my grandparents from the South too, and my mom is one of 7, and all of them, regardless of how successful they are, they had that hustle in their blood because of how my grandmother was raised, which trickled down to them raising,
getting there.
and then that trickled down to me, and trickled down to
I'm
some of
getting
that.
there.
So, okay, that's great. But now look at, let's say you get same 9 kids in the city, and their mom.
Before you finish,
Okay,
let me finish what I'm saying. Okay, so what I'm saying is they've all done extraordinarily well. Even one is the chief judge for Court of Common Pleas in Delaware. Okay, hospitals, we own schools, we own insurance agencies, professors, gynecologists, all types of stuff. Right? My sister's a veterinarian. I own 4 businesses. We're all doing really well. Okay, why though? And the reason is, tell me why those people, my uncles, my aunts, all that stuff, they had good leadership because even when they got split up, they looked up. They were on a plantation where the owner, Pat Bennett, took care of them, right? Taught them some things. They come up here, they apply those things with the work ethic they learned down there.
Yep.
So now the cycle is not, it becomes stronger. So now they're using that work ethic, they're teaching, now they teach me, they teach my cousins, and we continue to thrive, right? The problem is, the one person that didn't become successful, all her kids struggle except one. And one of them's dead because there was no role model to follow, right? No positivity. So like right now, if I'm in the city and I'm trying to improve my life, what do I see? I see, okay, if I'm an athlete, I can improve my life. If I'm a rap star singer, I can improve my life. If I'm a drug dealer, I can improve my life. You don't see entrepreneurs in abundance going down and saying, this is how you can improve your life. You don't see the government pumping a ton of education into the inner cities to say, you have options. Learning this stuff, because when you start to learn things, it empowers you. When you start to realize there's more to it than just what I'm seeing, it empowers you. I got a cousin who was literally in the city in Wilmington, and he's talking about, man, I'll never get those opportunities you got. I'm like, dude, walk up the street 7 blocks and you're out of the city of Wilmington.
Exactly.
But they don't think that way.
But that's the thing.
It is mentality. I just want to say this real quick. It is mentality, and that's super important. But it's also just factors that we could never relate to for some kids. You know what I mean? If I'm an older brother to my younger brother, prime example. Dad's locked up, mom's on dope. I gotta provide for him. You know what I mean? I messed up when I was younger, so now I got a felony. All right. I can't get a job, so I got to make money, or my little brother's going to starve, or he's going to the system. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that's the only choice to sell drugs, but I'm saying
Absolutely.
It's realistic.
So sell the drugs to you. So now you get with an entrepreneur, you sell the drugs until you make enough money to open your own business.
Yeah.
But then also too.
But then say I get arrested. Now look at my little brother. Now who's he going to look up?
Well, you're looking at getting arrested anyway because you're selling drugs.
That's like back to why they call it the trap.
But then,
It's hard to get. It's just harder. It's not fair for everybody.
No, yeah,
it's
this
not
life
fair.
is not fair.
Life's not fair. Straight up.
and you get
Some people are going to lose.
You get
Straight
dealt-
up.
you get
In the
dealt
inner
the
city,
card.
kids 9 times out of 10 are going to lose based off how they're set up.
And
Straight up.
let's look at his situation though. So let's say he's 17, taking care of his.
I don't think he's talking about himself.
I know he's not. I'm just per the example. But let's say he's 17, taking care of his 10-year-old brother, right? And he at the time he can't get a job because he's too young. Just hypothetically, some places don't want to hire him. 17, 16, he wanted to be real technical. Can't get a job, so guy down the street who is like a father figure because his father's there, his mom's passed away, and so on. So he's the provider for his family, living at his cousin's house, and just has a place to stay. Okay, so the drug dealer down the corner uses his father figure and teaches him how to sell drugs to provide for his family, which is his little brother. All right, and now that's his only trade he has. But let's say he's not a leadership type person to take the initiative. Everybody here is taking the initiative to do what they want and be a leader in the world, and whatever manner that you may see it. But not everybody has that drive to push forward, and that's just how they're built down the middle. So now all he knows is I just have to provide. And what does his brother see? Oh, my brother works hard by selling drugs, so that means I can sell drugs in the future too, because look at all the stuff we got. And then his brother gets arrested at 23. But then by the time his brother's already selling drugs, and that's all he knows because that's all he saw. So, and that trickles back to what I was saying, back to the whole 400 years ago in the slavery thing. All right, let's say we have 9 slaves, and they were all released, so let's say they all started at one plantation, and then they say, all right, I'm going to sell this slave to this plantation, sell it, boom, 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 and they all got released different ways. One, the master was like, you know what, I feel bad for y'all, let me help you out. He gets the knowledge of what the world is, and we can do this. That person becomes successful because he has that person of leadership and knowledge to move forward. Like you said, if you're ignorant, you don't know anything, so you can't move forward. But then you got the other slave who just master's like, fuck you, get out of here, figure out life. And on top of that, he doesn't have leadership skills and priority on his life. He just has to figure out how to survive. So instead of saying, you know what, I don't know how to live in this world because I was just taken not too long ago, so I'm just going to pick cotton again, and they might pay me to do it or give me a place to sleep. Then that person is staying on plantation for the rest of his life because that's all he knew. And same thing in the city. You stay there because that's all you knew and know, and a lot of people don't get out of Delaware or whatever state they're in to figure out what life is. If you don't know what life is and you don't have the knowledge, what you like you're saying, the government's inner city. I moved from Philly and moved over here. I was like, I don't know shit, like I said before. But if I stayed there, I don't think I would have sold drugs. But I'm just saying, that's all I would have known.
Let me say this to you. It's all mindset, right? And it is about what's learned. But imagine this. You're 3 months behind in rent. You got a wife you can't explain it to. You got 3 kids at home. And the landlord tells you, puts a sign on your door that says, for rent. So you got members walking into your gym and saying, oh, Fred, what's going on? Nothing. You rip the sign down. You got a choice. You can either fold and say, I can't do it, or you can fight. 1 month, we came up with 30 grand, outside of paying everybody else and everything else. How do we do that? No sleep, grinding every single day. I don't think anyone taught me how to do that, but I did see great role models and seeing them work and have a strong work ethic, right? I just had a belief in my mind that I can't lose. I can't lose. I'll figure it out. So my point is, yes, it is the role model, but I think if you take because there's a lot of people that come out of the hood and do really well. Let's get that straight.
That's right.
A lot of people come out and do really well. You give the person that's on top $1, and you give the person at the bottom $1. A lot of my beliefs are that you're still going to end up in the same spot because it's about mindset. And I believe that if you, because it's just unexplainable. Kai Green came from nothing, foster parenting, nothing. He had a mindset where he said, you know what, I'm gonna, and I had this talk with Kai when we were in Prague, way back in 2013, right? He had a mindset where he's like, I'm not gonna steal. His friend went and stole the candy bar. He went in there and talked to the owner and said, can I work so I can have a candy bar? It's a different mindset. They both inner city, they both foster care. What's the difference?
And that's the key word you're saying, mindset. Because look at everybody. We all talk about the Jordan documentary. Look at Jordan's mindset as opposed to any other person in the NBA mindset. They're all in the NBA, but who stands out because of mindset? Not everybody has that mindset.
And his vertical was stupid. Forgot.
Anyway, we gotta wrap this up though. So I know you was about to say something, and I know you was about to say something.
Good.
You about to say something?
I was not about to say that.
Say it, man.
I don't know.
Say it with your chest, man.
I say everything. I'm
Man.
not chest.
What about you?
No, I wasn't gonna say nothing.
Nah, say it with your chest. Say it with your chest that you wasn't gonna say
Poking out.
nothing.
All right, man.
Actually,
So-
I was about to say something.
Go ahead, say what? Go.
Use your shredder.
There you go. Stay swole, baby.
Stay swole.
Stay swole. And for you guys that don't know what I'm talking about, Stay Swole is our creatine matrix product that has agmatine sulfate in it, ALA. So you stay pumped all day. You don't have that crash. Your workouts will be that much more improved. So definitely try that out.
Personally vouch for that. It's my favorite. That's my favorite of the stack. They're all great, but that Stay Swole right there, he just said it. The fullness is why I love that Stay Swole so much.
My
Great
body
stuff.
is shredded because of the shredder.
All right, so this has been another episode of Big Talk. I think we touched on some pretty important topics. If you learned anything, liked anything, make sure you share us, like us, ring the bell. Peace.
Good job, Fred!